Valerie Beck with us this evening. What struck me probably 3 or 4 months ago was this idea of people wanting to have dramatic change in their life, but being not quite sure how to affect that change. Where even people that had the greatest intentions for wanting to do something, change something, make it happen, their intention was there, but something would happen. Life would take over. Oh, I wanted to work out a couple days a week, but something popped up with the family, or something popped up at work, or something so the intentions are there, but we're finding ourselves overwhelmed by life. And I thought, what can we do to help people where they are? How can we demonstrate not just the marquee status people, the Deepoks of the world or the Carolyn Maces of the world who are clearly doing what they love and succeeding at it, but really everyday people who are practicing, this idea of living from their spirit and being successful at it. How can we share that and show it and make it clear and celebrate that? So that's the birth of this series, and the intention is to post these. We're going to post them on the web, and they're going to be available for people to see and view and review, and just make it available for anybody to see these fabulous people who are doing wonderful things in their everyday lives. So what I'd like to do is remind you that Zesty Living is about aligning passion, purpose, practical action for prosperity. And what I do with my guests is really talk to them about those 4 aspects and how they're manifesting that in their own lives. And it's always fascinating to hear. So tonight we are going to hear from Valerie Beck. Valerie has come to us as anything but common. Okay, she has described herself in her earlier years as tiny, which she still is tiny, unpopular, and in fact, a mixed-race geekette. A geekette. But despite where she comes from, this Harvard-trained dynamo in petite clothing is not the head of 1 and not 2, but 3 businesses. 3 businesses. Not 1, but 3. It's mind-boggling, and she has more energy and she's effervescent, and you'll see in just a moment. So she's a sales director with Mary Kay. She is also the owner of Chicago Chocolate Tours, and she's a romance coach and the author of Romance Around the Corner, 8 Steps Towards Attracting the Man of Your Dreams and Having Fun in the Process. Ooh, she used the F word. Fun. We don't use that word often enough. Prior to becoming an entrepreneur, Valerie practiced law in Europe and in Chicago. She's a very active member of NABO, which is where we met. Fabulous. And just this spring, she was honored as Member of the Year. And well-deserved. Well-deserved. So I would like for you all to please invite and welcome Valerie Beck.
Up here. This is great.
Thank you. You're welcome. I read Valerie's book, and it's funny, it's well written, it's easy to read, it's quick, but the steps are practical, and yet you talk to people below the surface. It's about more than romance. It's about how you create the romance you want in your life.
Absolutely. Thank you. And it's true. It's about creating the life of your dreams, and in doing so, you attract the people who you want and desire to have in your space.
So, your book is funny, it's inspiring, it's exciting, but there's a common thread between the romance and the life that you lead.
Yes.
Now, how do you, and let's talk about chocolate tours
Yes.
and Mary Kay and romance. Help us. You know, I know there's a thread, there's a common thread. Share that with us.
Absolutely. It's
Tell us
so
how
true.
you uncovered that connection.
To me, the thread is uplift. To me, the thread is that when somebody feels good about her outside and her inside and the activity she's engaging in, then she can tap into that spirit that's in all of us. And sometimes we just need that key to unlock that. So whether that key is simply a new lipstick shade. I mean, I read somewhere that cancer patients recover more quickly, women, when they just put on a little color or fix their hair, just do something to feel great about our outside and awaken something on the inside. Same thing with romance. When we are feeling great in a great relationship that simply enhances our already great life, then wow, we're just an asset to the universe. And chocolate, oh my goodness, it's the food of the gods, right? And so when we're engaged in something wonderful that speaks to our heart, we can then give that to others. So for me, the golden thread that ties all my projects together is that they uplift people and then we pass that uplift on.
Right, so this passion that's clearly coming through in all of your work, do you feel like you had it the whole time?
Oh my word, ask my mother. Hey Mom, you should have seen me slumped under the desk practically at the law firm. I was just sharing with somebody today that for me a good day at the law office was if I made it home by 10 p.m. to watch Law and Order. Yeah, to watch like a negative show.
More law, right? More law.
A negative law show, right? Nothing against, you know what I'm saying. It's about death and doom and disease and destruction. And then I went to sleep on that, and then I had a quick nap, and then I woke up the next morning to go back and do it all over again. The crazy thing was, though, I was known as the nice one. It was a law firm office of 375 people, and I was the nice one. And yet I wasn't really that nice at that time. I was kind of cranky. And so I knew that I needed to make a change. And I wasn't always sure at first how to go about that. But isn't it true that when we're not sure, the universe sometimes gives us a little nudge and then a bigger nudge, and pretty soon it's just bashing our skull in practically to make that change that we know in our hearts we're ready to do.
And so how did you do that?
Well, there were really two triggers for me that made me realize, okay, I hear you, I'm ready, I hear my heart, let's do it. One was having to have emergency surgery and coming back from stress. Stress made the whole thing worse, was what happened. And so I came back to the law firm after this, some horrible experience at the hospital, and I got shouted at by some of the people I worked with for not having checked my voicemail over the weekend that I was recovering from the general anesthetic. And I just thought, this is really a world without pity that I've inserted myself into, and this is not the world I want to be in. And then the other thing that really triggered me, I managed to get asked out on a date at some point while I don't know how it happened, while I was working these crazy, days, crazy hour weeks. And I managed to get asked out on a date, and I kept putting it off because I was so busy and putting off my life, in effect. And I finally went out with this poor young man and promptly fell asleep in the restaurant on the date.
Oh.
Yeah. And so when I woke up, I thought, I need to get a life. And so those were the two things that triggered me to really start thinking about some alternatives.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I think the trauma,
Yes.
there's a catastrophic event that is oftentimes the trigger for us. And it really is often health related.
Yes. Our body tells us.
How many of you are doing work that you love currently, engaged in work? Okay, so that's good. That's
Yes.
half. How many of you have ideas about what you would prefer to be doing? Okay. It's as long as you have the kernel,
Yes.
the idea, that's critical. It's a place to start.